fakes Ritter to the end zone, looking for Pierce. Did he hang on? Yes. Touchdown. Back as I've been around. Here he goes again. Busts free. Jerome Ford down the sideline. Foot race. House call. Touchdown. 79 yards. Big run in the Peach Bowl. This is a big one too. And it's going to go all the way to the house on the first play from scrimmage.
Bearcat Blitz, a little bit of a somber one, entering the midway point of November here on the Believe Network. I'm your host, Russ Heltman from Cincinnati Bearcats on SI, joined very shortly by my co-host, Neil Meyer of the frontofficenews.com, and we are presented by FanDuel Sportsbook, where unfortunately, after back-to-back losses for the Cincinnati Bearcats football team, they are essentially right back where they were to start the season in terms of their odds to win the Big 12 championship game, currently holding 45-1 odds to lift the trophy and punch their ticket to the college football playoff. Now in no more control of their path to the playoff in that sense after losses to Utah and Arizona over the past 3 weeks. Texas Tech, a prohibitive favorite to win the conference, and I would be shocked if they do not roll to a title at this point with how well they're playing. Minus 290 to win the Big 12. BYU plus 360 with them favored to beat the Bearcats at Nippert Stadium on Saturday night. And then Utah 12-1, Arizona State 33-1, and Cincinnati 45-1 with the fifth best odds on FanDuel Sportsbook. Your place to bet on the Bearcats, either basketball or football team. We're touching on both today. We'll start with the football loss, 30-24 to Arizona. A tough day for Brendan Sorsby, and Cincinnati continues to go by the way of his level of play. And then we'll get to a sleepy as it can get when you beat a team by 17 points on Sunday night by the Cincinnati Bearcats basketball team. A little bit more of a worrying sign for me after preaching caution over the first 3 games of the season, and UC not playing very good basketball heading into a brutal and maybe the toughest matchup they will have all season long against Louisville in a neutral site this coming Friday night. We'll get to all that on Bearcat Blitz. But first, a message from FanDuel and our other presenting sponsors right now, and we'll get to Neil Meyer and all the great topics after these messages. Bring Neil Meyer in now from the frontofficenews.com. Check him out there and check me out at Cincinnati Bearcats on SI, where we were all over the coverage of Arizona's 30-24 victory over the Bearcats. So close, Neil, to nailing my first right on score prediction of the year. Had the Cats 31-30, and we expected a pretty tight game here. We knew that we were not really understanding the 6.5 to 7.5 point spread that was flowing around a lot of different markets. This Arizona team led by a veteran quarterback in Noah Fafita, who's got 31 starts in this conference, 32 now, and looked very comfortable, especially after that first quarter. 294 yards, 1 touchdown, 164.5 rating. They ran the ball 42 times for 181 yards, controlled the clock the entire time, Neil. You win the turnover battle in this one as well, 2-0. Instant turnover, first play of the game, horrible decision by Brendan Sorsby. He continues to struggle against man coverage and did post one of his worst games of the season so far for Cincinnati. 15-28, 154 yards, only 9 carries for 30 yards on the ground. Was not able to take advantage of that big mismatch of quarterback rushing against this Arizona defense, Neil. And now Cincinnati, not even remotely in control of their path to the Big 12 title game. They need a loss by Utah in one of their final 2 games to have any chance at making the Big 12 title. And on top of that, they're going to have to win as underdogs, most likely, in the final 2 games of the season. Home underdogs against BYU and projecting to be slight away underdogs at TCU to close the year. A little bit of a sobering few weeks, Neil, but all in all, I mean, this team is kind of where we expected them to be at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, and when you look back on the Arizona game too, Russ, obviously you mentioned the play of Brendan Sorsby didn't have his best game of the season. Arguably, probably, maybe some would say his worst game of the season, right? With the two interceptions, one on the first play of the game that was kind of forced. And for Cincinnati, they took early opportunities in the run game here on Saturday, and then they went away from it. And the
Yeah.
run game was working. I mean, Tawee Walker had, I believe he had 98 yards on 3 carries, and then his final 9 carries, he only gets 20 yards per se. So kind of interesting stat there. But for this game, for Cincinnati, Russ, they had plenty of opportunities, like you mentioned. I mean, you get the missed field goal. Logan Wilson comes away and gets a hell of a block on a field goal. Those are two key drives. When you rewatch the game, you circle because
You
those are
count I mean,
opportunities.
honestly, Neil, it was
They're
2-2 in the
turnovers.
turnover battle, you could
It's
say.
turnovers. So overall, when you go back and you watch this game, I mean, I already have went back and watched it. Those were the two drives that stuck out to me the most because when you watch it, you get the missed field goal, and that was plus what? I believe that was a 44-yarder that he missed wide left. So you're starting with decent field position, and then you go three and out. Then you get the blocked field goal, and you go three and out. Like that just can't happen, especially with the situations on the line there. So overall, wasn't Brendan's best day, and I think he knew that too. He obviously came out of that game a little banged up, so it's going to be
Yeah.
interesting to see what his status might be heading into this one. Obviously, he was favoring the ankle a little bit there after getting twisted up, but Russ, you could definitely tell that these guys were missing guys like Caleb Goody, Evan Pryor, and you could see it desperately that
Yeah.
they needed somebody who could stretch the field. I mean, we asked the question that everybody was wondering: what's going on with Joe Royer not getting many targets? And teams are doubling him, they're blanketing him. Like teams are scheming Joe Royer, right? So I mean, if Joe Royer's getting a double team, somebody's got to be one on one. And Scott Satterfield mentioned people have to win their one on one matchups and they have to execute, and they failed to do that on Saturday. So it's going to be interesting to see, but the offense has to find a way to get going because this BYU team, Russ, whoo, they're going to come in and put some points on the board, and we saw it the other night versus TCU. So if Cincinnati's defense comes out and plays like they did on Saturday versus Arizona, it could be a long day on Saturday night.
24 first downs allowed. It's just the same story we've seen all season long from this defense, Neil. Soft coverage and plays moments that just didn't make any sense, too. And Scott Satterfield would agree with us. I mean, he wired in a call to bring up the press coverage, bring up the coverage a little bit more on some of those late down scenarios later in the game when things were really tight and there just wasn't enough execution by the Bearcats here. We continue to not get really major impacts from many people on this defense. Micah Coleman had his best career game
Mm-hmm.
for Cincinnati in this one: 8 tackles, 1 sack, 2.5 for loss. Obviously, Jake Golday all over the field again with 13 tackles and a half tackle for loss, but just not many other stars showing up and creating a lot of havoc plays. Cincinnati unable to get a turnover in this one. And Brendan Sorsby, Neil, honestly, I mean, statistically, raw statistics, one of his poorer games, but his receivers let him down here. And it's the reason why he was the highest graded player on offense for the Bearcats from Pro Football Focus in this game. 69.6 passing grade, 76.9 rushing grade, easily the highest graded player on the offense, 4 points higher of a grade with a 77.4 mark than DeAndre Buford, because his receivers completely let him down. I mean, you got a clear drop from Isaiah Johnson, who was the lowest graded receiver in the entire game. Lowest graded offensive player for the Bearcats in the entire game in this one. Noah Jennings
Noah
didn't play
Jennings,
well.
Noah
He was
Jennings had a crucial drop. A
right.
crucial drop.
Jeff Caldwell had a drop as well. I mean, Arizona's cornerback, one of the cornerbacks, I think, or maybe it was a safety, came over and made an unbelievable pass breakup play on an absolute dot from Sorsby down the field for Jeff Caldwell, and that wasn't even the drop. So, I mean, his receivers let him down here, Neil. They really did in this game, and you can't do that. You have to execute at the highest level. You have to take advantage of every open opportunity you can against an Arizona defense that now has 14 interceptions on the season, top 5 in the country, and is top 20 in EPA per play allowed. Cincinnati's offense did not do that. They did not execute to a high enough level. And now, Neil, it's kind of left them maybe with a little bit of a sour taste in everybody's mouth, but I'm not really understanding the vibe from the fan base right now of thinking, oh, same old Satterfield, same old Bearcats down the stretch, can't do anything, can't beat real teams. Neil, this team, when you look at 24/7 Sports composite talent ratings, is the second least talented team in all of the power conferences outside of Wake Forest. Only UC has a lower collection of overall composite talent, according to 24/7 Sports, than Wake Forest. I mean, what they've done with this team this year, given the trajectory of what Scott Satterfield started with, it's fully commendable. Anything after your sixth win, which they've already gotten to with 7 on the season, is completely gravy in my eyes. And sure, you don't want to end the season on what could be a better's projected 4-game losing streak here. But if you go into the bowl season, you get a lot more practices there, and you come out with a bowl win and end up 8-5 or 9-4 overall. That is a stellar season considering the talent that this program was working with entering the 2025 campaign.
Yeah, and you look back at what people were talking about heading into the season, Russ. I mean,
people were saying 3 wins. People were saying they were going to win a conference game. It's stuff we got to zoom out a little bit here.
Yeah, and when you look back, people are like, "Oh yeah, Cincinnati projected to finish at the bottom of the Big 12 conference. Look what they've done, man." You and I said at the beginning of the season, yeah, they are going to be a team that will get to bowl eligible, 7-5, 8-4, whatever it might be. But you look back, you got to give credit where credit is due, right? I mean, with teams blanketing Joe Royer, and Joe Royer, I mean, let's pull up his stats here for this season, Russ. I mean, teams have completely taken away Joe Royer this season. Completely. And to still have a momentum, Joe Royer, 24 catches for 358 yards and 4 touchdowns this season, compared to a season ago where he had 50 catches for 522 yards and 3 touchdowns. So you look back, and it's a testament to Cincinnati because when you entered the season, everyone was expecting it'd be another Joe Royer show where he might be able to shatter the receptions record that he broke last year, right? And you look back, you got to give credit where this credit's due. This defense hasn't played bad all season. They've had a couple hiccups here and there, but the bend don't break mentality has been pretty successful until the recent weeks. So there's a lot of things to look and to put into consideration here. But for the fans who are saying, oh, same old Cincinnati, you really need to take a step back and realize the job that Scott Satterfield has done in year 3. We have always said it on this show. You have to give a coach 3 years. And look at the jump they've made in year 3. So if they can somehow finish out the way 1-1 or 2-0 per se down these next 2 games, those fans who are saying all these crazy statements are going to be sitting back in the driver's seat saying, okay, I was wrong. And that's what you want to see. You want to see those fans eat their words, right? But there's still a lot of things for Cincinnati to overcome in the next 2 weeks. And for me, Russ, I think figuring it out here, heading into BYU, you have Big Noon coming to Cincinnati, another big-time opportunity. We might see a different team on Saturday. Who knows? But they got to find a way to get the momentum rolling and the confidence back, especially heading into the final 2 games of the season.
Right. And we thought this was a very losable game for the Bearcats against Arizona. We discussed it last week. I mentioned how Arizona has played 1 bad game all year. They could be right in the mix with 1 loss right now in the Big 12 if 2 or 3 plays go a different way over the last 6 weeks for them. And they were a more efficient team coming into this contest nationally in the national rankings, EPA per play, than the Bearcats. So this is not some sky is falling loss. I didn't understand the 6.5 point betting spread. It never made sense to me. This was more like a 3.5 to 2.5 point line, which is right where it ended up kind of breaking for the Cincinnati Bearcats in terms of they were right there at the end to maybe get a drive down the field to win the football game. And it went about as poorly as it possibly could have outside of a pick 6 from Brendan Sorsby right there at the end of the game. But overall, I mean, the sky is not falling here. 2 losses in a row. You hate to see it, but they just lost their first home game of the 2025 season after the leaves have fallen in November. So take a deep breath, everybody. It's going to be okay. The team already has 7 wins. It's already a successful season out there. And anything that you get done after 7-5 or 8-4 is completely gravy. So Cincinnati got BYU coming up next, Neil, on the FanDuel Sportsbook. They were 2.5-point favorites entering the weekend over the BYU Cougars. And BYU, I forget what the final line was, but they destroyed TCU on a late night on Saturday to completely flip that matchup against the Cincinnati Bearcats. To Cincinnati now a 2.5-point underdog on the FanDuel Sportsbook with the point total sitting at 54.5. Huge game for BYU, Neil. They can get basically within one game from punching their ticket to the Big 12 title game with a victory here. And obviously a big one for Cincinnati. They are, I believe, 0-3 all time against the BYU Cougars. Going to have big noon kickoff on campus at noon or right around, or in the morning on Saturday. And we'll have the first nip at night for Bearcats fans on Saturday night. Should be a really, really fun one. And we'll get to a deeper dive into that matchup coming up. But huge opportunity for the Bearcats, Neil, to make a statement and bounce back on a national stage in what's going to be a projected nip-tuck matchup on the field at Nipper Stadium.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great one on Saturday night, Russ. And two, obviously, a lot of things to play on Saturday, right? You have big noon kickoff coming back to Cincinnati for the first time in 2 years. You have your nip at night for the first time in arguably 2 years. So overall, there's a lot to factor in here because the last nip at night was 2023 senior night. So you look back, you got 2 years of nip since nip at night essentially. And then here, you got big noon kickoff. So a lot of eyes are going to be on the Bearcats on Saturday. So it's going to be exciting. It will be exciting. And they have an opportunity here to where they could get another ranked matchup at home. And Russ, I believe with a win on Saturday, the Iowa State game earlier in the season was Cincinnati's first win versus a ranked opponent in the top 10 since 2001, I believe.
Top 15. Iowa State was 14. Yeah.
But you look down here, BYU has a chance to be top 10, and arguably Cincinnati has another opportunity to defend the NIP and get an even bigger win than what that Iowa State win was earlier in the year versus another very talented team in BYU. And the job that Kalani Satike has done this season, it's going to be a challenge, but it's going to be a challenge that the Bearcats are going to come in and face head on. And I think, Russ, we're in for a good matchup on Saturday night, personally.
I hope so. Would not want to be working late in the night for a blowout. Hopefully it's a good game at least, and the Bearcats put up a fight. I'm sure they will, but obviously dealing with some injuries right now. Closing up the shop with those injuries, Neil. Sounds like Evan Pryor will be good to go this week. He was very close, according to Scott Satterfield. He didn't officially confirm he's going to be back this week, but sounded very confident that he may be able to return this week. And then Caleb Goody, sounds like he kind of degraded throughout the week. And from I didn't mix those up, right? It sounds like Caleb Goody maybe a little bit less chance to play than Pryor coming off of his weeks-long ankle injury.
Yeah, it sounded like the way I interpreted that. Evan Pryor was very close to playing on Saturday, but Caleb Goody kind of it sounded like maybe suffered a little bit of a setback. He was listed as questionable and then he went to out. So it sounds like both have a real opportunity to play on Saturday versus BYU, but it's trending as a more of an uphill battle for a guy like Caleb Goody per se, based on what Scott Satterfield said. We'll see how practice goes this week. We'll see Scott Satterfield. Obviously tomorrow we'll probably have another update on Goody's status, see how he responded out of the weekend, but he did note it was an upper body injury for Caleb Goody. He didn't specify what that might have been, but they're going to need him versus BYU. So if they can get him out there on Saturday, they'll take him because just his presence does so much for this Bearcats offense. So overall, I would think we're trending in the right direction to see both of them play, but we'll know a little bit more tomorrow with the press conferences and whatnot.
No doubt about it. And they're going to need Goody, my man. They are going to need Goody. Going to need every offensive weapon possible against one of the top 10 EPA per dropback defenses in the country from BYU. Let's take a quick break, and we'll get to the basketball side of things after a 4-0 start cemented on Sunday night by the Cincinnati Bearcats right here on Bearcat Blitz, presented by FanDuel Sportsbook, where you can bet on the Bearcats to beat BYU this coming weekend as 2.5-point underdogs, plus 106 on the money line with a point total sitting at 54.5 points. FanDuel brings you up boosts all the time, especially during college football weekend. So sign up today and make FanDuel Sportsbook your choice for wagers on Cincinnati Bearcats football and basketball. Back after this. Neil, you and I had some other duties that took us away from being at the arena on Sunday night, and didn't seem like we missed much of a good outing from the Bearcats basketball team. I was able to catch most of the game on ESPN Plus, and it got way too hairy for the Cincinnati Bearcats basketball team at a late portion of this game. Cincinnati ends up beating the tried and true dominant team. Oh, wait, not tried and true dominant at all. There were 1-2 entering this game, Mount St. Mary's. They had a 36-30 lead at halftime, led as long as 13 minutes left in the second half. Cincinnati was out rebounded for much of this game. They were outshot from three significantly, 20.7% for Cincinnati to 37% for Mount St. Mary's. They still get the 72-55 win, Neil, thanks to a 20-5 run over the final 8 minutes and 15 seconds from this team. But I mean, without Day Thomas right now, Neil, this team could be in a world of hurt with maybe 1 or 2 losses, and they need some other players to start stepping up and playing more consistently like Day Thomas has. Mustafa Cham started to work his way towards that level. I thought he was the second best player on Sunday night for Cincinnati outside of Day. Cham, probably his best game as a Bearcat so far. 5 for 9 from the field, 13 points, 10 rebounds, 4 blocks. Was a defensive maven all over the place. But, I mean, 4 for 20 shooting from Gishan Abayev and Kirk Kriesa. Baba Miller was not as impactful as we've seen him be. And overall, the back end of this rotation, Neil, is not giving the Bearcats a whole lot of much right now, 4 games of the season.
Yeah, to say the least. I think, Russ, when you look back at that game, it was just I get it was a Sunday night game with football on or whatnot, but it sounds like from what we were hearing, the crowd wasn't that good. The student section was kind of mid for a Sunday night home game. So I don't know what the environment was like. Obviously, we weren't there, but kind of sounded like students didn't do their part per se, and that's it. That's a huge factor in a game like this because these, despite them being these little bye games or these smaller schools, fans got to show up and do their part. But like you mentioned, I mean, Russ, this team would be completely lost without Day Thomas right now. They would. They would be completely lost.
Thank you, Diego Pavia, because without him, who knows what the season would be looking like with him getting that extra year of eligibility and opening the door for Day.
Yeah, because I mean, Day Thomas had a very efficient night. I mean, a very efficient 2 weeks of the season, right? And Russ, I mean, it's safe to say Day Thomas is playing the best ball of his career right now.
Yeah.
So thank you, Diego Pavia, for that. But I mean, you look down 16 points, 4 of 6 from the field, 3 of 3 from behind the arc, 5 of 6 from the foul line, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. I mean, very efficient night from Day Thomas. But like you mentioned, Russ, a combined 4 for 20 from Kirk Kriesa and Gishan Abayev. That just won't win you many games. It won't.
Nope.
Obviously, everybody knows Gishan Abayev is going to come in and put you up, get his shots up. He's going to get his buckets. But you got to find a way to get more than just 12 points on 20 shots from those two guys, per se the least, because those are going to be two guys who probably play 20 to 30 minutes per game for Cincinnati. But what was noting to take away from this game, Russ, Sincere Harris, after getting banged up, great to see him back out there. We weren't really sure what his role would be after getting kind of rolled up on versus Dayton the other night. But
yeah,
overall, great to see him back. Mustafa Cham, I thought, had his best game of the season.
Yeah.
He's starting to really look like that big-time post player that Cincinnati was hoping he would be. You have 2 guys in double figures, double-doubles. Baba Miller, 13 and 11. Mustafa Cham, 13 and 10. Those were great sights to see. However, what wasn't great to see, Russ, was Cincinnati just coming out slow. Very
flat.
slow. I mean,
just flat. With 5 days to prepare, too, after playing pretty sloppy against Dayton. It's just, yeah, continue. Sorry, Neil.
Yeah, I mean, they played sloppy versus Dayton. It was great to see that the turnovers margin got cut in half, which is
Which
what
it
you and I
better have,
mentioned.
considering Mount St. Mary's only averaged 8 turnovers forced per game entering the game, which was bottom 15 in the entire country.
Yeah, so it was great to see the turnovers just at 10, but Russ, I don't know what the rotations might look like for Cincinnati coming, especially on Saturday or Friday night versus Louisville. Like, there's a good chance, a good realistic chance. I would not be surprised if we see 8 or 9 guys get majority of the minutes versus Louisville on Friday night. And it's safe to say
Right.
that.
I mean, right now, Tyler McKinley up in the air with his status. He has a mysterious injury. It sounds like Bob Mangine told Wes Miller he was feeling off, quote unquote, and that's why he did not come back in the game after 3 minutes in the first half. I mean, Jalen Celestine is not giving them much of anything right now. 0 for 4 from the field, 2 personal fouls, obviously cutting him some slack because he's still trying to find his bearings after months away from the team and not being a part of that gelling in the summer. Halvin Zealot was a 0 in this game. I mean, you got a little bit better play out of Keyshawn Tillery in the second half compared to the first half in terms of his overall kind of impact on the game. But Neil, he was only out there for 3 minutes in the second half, so it's hard to play much worse in the second half if you're only out there for 3 minutes.
And no Jordy Rodriguez at all.
Right, and compared to his 11 minutes in the first half, I mean, Tillery was giving up points ad nauseum in that first half to a veteran Mount St. Mary's team. Jordy Rodriguez, there you go, good mention there. Jordy Rodriguez, who has been their worst box plus minus player on the team so far this season with a negative 6.5 box plus minus. He didn't play a minute in this game. So, I mean, Neil, there is no clear depth hierarchy for this team right now heading into what, like I mentioned at the top of the show, could end up being the best team they face all season long, and a Louisville team that has this is not a typo, people, has not posted 96 points or fewer in any game so far this season. And the only reason they scored less than 100 in that 96-point outing was because they were facing another top 15 team in UK. And that was the result of 96-88 win over the Kentucky Wildcats. I am very worried for Cincinnati on Friday night. It could be a bloodbath at Heritage Bank Center.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Russ, they now have a week to figure things out, right? You have 4 days essentially to figure things out before Louisville. So it's going to be interesting. Would hope to see an update on Tyler McKinley and what his status might be heading into Louisville, because
I imagine we'll get a press conference Wednesday or something from Wes Miller because there's no other games this week.
Because they're going to need everybody in the front court come Friday night. Yeah. It's safe to say that. They're going to need everybody to come on their A game. And Russ, we have covered a lot of games at Heritage Bank Arena in the past, and those games are always interesting, to say the least. The neutral site environment, taking that preparation into it, those games are always interesting. But in a matchup like this, where you have Pat Kelsey returning home to Cincinnati, it's going to be an interesting crowd. So hopefully fans do their part and show up at Heritage Bank Arena on Friday night, because the Louisville fans will be there, especially with Pat Kelsey's ties to this area. They will be out. So, man, it's a big opportunity for Cincinnati and Wes Miller on Friday night, Russ, and an opportunity where if you can get this win on Friday night, it solidifies you a huge quad one opportunity that will play dividends down the line. It could potentially be the resume booster for an NCAA tournament if they are a bubble team come the end of the season.
Yeah. At this point, I'm just hoping they keep it within single digits, because nothing from what I've seen from the Cincinnati Bearcats team makes me think they're going to be able to slow down that Louisville offense compared to, yes, Cincinnati still second nationally in adjusted defensive efficiency on KenPom, but they haven't played any offense remotely close to the caliber of Louisville. We'll get into that matchup on Thursday in more depth. For Neil Meyer, I'm Russ Heltman. This has been Bearcat Blitz, presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Hope everybody has a great week. Talk to you again on Thursday.
6, Ritter to the end zone, looking for Pierce. Did he hang on? Yes. Touchdown. Back as I've been around. Here he goes again. Busts free. Jerome Ford down the sideline. Foot race. House call. Touchdown. 79 yards. Big run in the Beach Bowl. This is a big one, too. And it's going to go all the way to the